Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Nerdy Old Men Podcast. They say that in the vacuum of space, no one can hear you scream. But I think you can still find our podcast on all the available outlets. And today...
I believe it's out there.
That's right. Hey, Redneck West, what's up?
You can't stop the signal, even in space. Had to get a Firefly reference in.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Oh, we're going to have a good show today, I believe, Chad. We've got... back again, we just can't seem to run him off, no matter what
well, we beg him to come, and he shows mercy on us in charity. We've got Perfect Pat with us today.
We're just sitting here waiting on my computer to tell me to work out.
It's coming. It's coming. We got to get some nerdiness in beforehand.
Yeah, let's go.
But I've always been a big sci-fi guy, and I know you guys are too. And we thought we had a good idea from a listener of, you know what, let's talk about science fiction spaceships, because you can't really have science fiction without some way to transport yourself across the stars.
And there have been some really interesting designs, some really cool designs, designs that you're kind of like, how? What?
Some designs where they said, hey, look at this six-sided die. Let's make this a spaceship.
That's what I was thinking, Pat.
Yeah. Normally, like a lot of our shows, we're going to talk about this stuff, but we're not. This isn't like a ranking deal. We're just going to kind of sit around and goof about some of the things that tickled our fancy as far as when we watched them on the screen. So, and we said pre-show that we could focus everything on Star Wars or on Star Trek or something like that, but we're not that, and we'll try to mix it up a little bit. We'll talk about one.
We're all inclusive here. The Nerdy Old Men Podcast.
Yeah. Except for you, Wes.
We're fans of all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. All right, Pat, why don't you start us off, man? Let's talk about some stuff.
Some of my favorite overall design, I'm probably stealing your thunder here, is the Battlestar Pegasus.
Yeah.
The Mercury class one from the reimagined.
Those Battlestars, in that one anyway, those were menacing vehicles. You know what I mean? I thought so anyway. And, but the standard. This is the big. Yeah. Well, kind of like an aircraft carrier in space. Because it could exfil all those Vipers. And plus, it had its own cannons and things like that. But that's a menacing vehicle.
And plus, the Pegasus could build its own Vipers.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Where Galactica couldn't do that, right?
Right, because Galactica was old.
Yes. Gosh, I might have to go back and watch the first season.
And of course, Galactica had all of its armor stripped off.
Yes, because when they were decommissioning it, and that was the big deal, right? Right there at the very beginning.
Right.
Yes.
See, I didn't watch the reimagined series. I go back to the original, seeing reruns as a kid, and the Viper was just a cool looking ship. I mean, it's a triangle with a long nose that goes really fast and blows stuff up.
Well, and in the reimagined series that they amped it up. Of course, remember they had Adama's original one, right? And then they had done these upgrades, and the upgraded one was neat. But man, I agree. If you're talking about the capital level ships for Battlestar, the Battlestars themselves, the human capital ship, was my favorite. But as far as the fighter, the Cylon Raider, I thought the Cylon Raider was just a scary. That's a scary fighter. Can you imagine being a Viper pilot and coming out of that Battlestar and having to engage this swarm of these evil looking? I mean, they've even got the red eyes on those going back and forth coming at you. That's cool.
And another thing about Galactica, I like the original Cylon base star better than the reimagined one.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one too. The reimagined one was a little weird to me. To me, it didn't match the new Raiders.
Right.
I just thought the Raider looked. I mean, although it was slick and it didn't have any angles, very stealthy looking, but it was more mechanical, and I thought that was cool. Wes, what about you, buddy?
Well, I mean, kind of staying away from the big two franchises. One that that I really thought was a cool ship and a cool show was the Raza from Dark Matter.
Okay.
Yes.
And I don't know if you really watched that show a lot, but it was like a fighting transport ship.
Okay.
I recently watched the series for the first time.
Oh, really? What'd you think of that, Pat?
Oh, I loved it. I wish there was more.
It needed about 2 more seasons to kind of tie everything up. I thought if it'd gone 5 seasons, I thought they could have told the entire story.
Jeff Bezos, if you're listening,
yes,
I know you
that
are.
Would be, that's a good.
You need to give Dark Matter the Expanse treatment.
There we go.
But the ship was cool because you got the bay because it had a ship, like a landing craft that it could drop from the belly. That was even though the ship could land in atmosphere, on the planet. Sometimes you need to be a little more stealthy, so it's got its own little pod that it'll drop down. But it had 4, the engines could tilt, kind of like on Firefly, like on Serenity. And so like they could come up with some crazy moves, all kinds of armament. But they had the FTL drive, the faster than light, which is sort of akin to
Light speed.
the hyperdrives in Star Wars. But they had this really cool device that they got, and that kind of became, spoiler alert, kind of became the thing for the show there. I don't know what that was. But it was called the blink drive. And basically the blink drive would fold space and create like little wormholes, so you could go anywhere in the galaxy.
Oh, that's cool.
In an instant. So like, you've got 5 warships coming at you, and you could blink, get behind them, hit them, blink. I mean, it was crazy.
That's nuts.
It was a really cool concept.
Yeah, you start thinking about something like that, and like, what would you throw too much reality and science into it, and you start thinking, what would that sort of thing do to the human body? Kind of like transporters in Star Trek, right? It's like, I don't know if you're ever really going to be right again.
Yeah, I don't know if that's something that would actually be possible, but the concept was cool.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And it, like the transporters, it led to some stories in the show, things that happened, but it's you've got everybody in the galaxy trying to get this blink drive, and there's one,
right,
and
it's on that
ends
ship
up with it, and there's ragtag bunch of mercenaries, but when they come out of stasis, they've lost their memories, and then. And it's a really neat show. So Bezo, let's get that on Prime and get that.
I'll have to check that one out. When we look at this sci-fi ships and stuff, and I know we're going to get into the big 2 here in a minute, in these fighters. But when I think, because I've always been fascinated with space travel and all that, I think it's fascinating, and I love games like Mass Effect where you're traveling vast distances and exploring things, but. A couple films that had what I think would be the look of a vessel that would transport human beings light years away from our solar system, and that is the Discovery 1 from 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Absolutely.
That looks like a colonization vehicle, doesn't it? To where you you travel vast distances in that particular one. And I like that. And that movie's neat because of the whole where they throw some realism in there, where explosions don't make sound in space. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because of the vacuum. That's neat, man. I think that's a neat thing. And akin to that is a movie that I have always said to me was terrifying. I've been made fun of by my family about it, but the ship, the Event Horizon from the movie Event Horizon.
Oh, I was going to bring that one up. Let's build a ship and let's make the hallways look like cheese graters.
Yeah, because that seems like a good idea. but
that'll fight off space madness.
right. But that ship to me, it had that image too, right? we're going to load a bunch of people on this and travel long distances. And both of those I think was really cool. But to me, that was a creepy ass movie, and I've been made fun of it. But I don't care because for some reason that movie freaked me out, dude.
You're like,
shut up, Redneck West. I embrace it, by golly. But I think, because you can talk about those things. You've got those true. To me, you've got those true science fiction ones about exploration, and then you've got the ones that are space combat, and that flows into the other ones. So, but Pat, go ahead.
And then you got Star Trek, which is the happy medium.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I always liked Star Trek. I guess was because there was combat, but there was also that exploration. And
well, that was cool, but the one drawback I had with Star Trek was everything was new, everything worked, everything was nice and pristine. It's like, do you people live on this ship? And it's like everything worked.
They got good custodians and mechanics.
Well, Scotty and Geordi are good, but come on.
Yeah, well, you're right. Things never break, but I guess you could look at it as when these were developed, it was maybe the heyday of human space travel, and everything functioned well. And then you get into things in Star Trek where things are falling apart.
You mean Star Wars? Yeah,
Star Wars rather. Yeah, Star Wars.
Everything's held together with duct tape and baling twine.
But yeah, right. But let's look at. We can just look at Star Trek for a minute, and you're right that is a different era. But the ship itself doesn't that look? That's just an odd-looking ship. But until you mentioned it a minute ago, I'd never thought about it. That the design of the Enterprise and all of those type of ships, because all of the Federation of Planets ships look pretty much similar. You got the in essence the disc part, and then
the saucer section.
Yeah, so you've got all that kind of stuff. But the look at that can give you, I guess, that cross between this is a science and exploration vessel, but this is also a weapon of war. And I think that the designers of those ships for the shows may have thought about it that way, or at least that's how it came across to me.
Well, what was neat was the original. I say the original Enterprise, but I'm going back to the original series.
Yes,
not Enterprise and.
About Star Trek, the old one, yeah.
Yeah, the original, with Shatner.
Yep.
The NCC 1701, the
That's correct,
Constitution
yes.
class. It was very. I don't want to say blocky, but there was a lot of straight. Everything was at right angles, and it just. Whereas when you get to Enterprise, the D, Picard's Enterprise, there's a lot. Everything is round and smooth, but it still has that classic, with the warp nacelles on the back and the saucer section, and you're like, this, I could see it traveling through. Hey, we're friendly, but
we're going to kick your ass if necessary.
Yeah,
we'd rather just talk.
It's like if you saw Steve Rogers just in a Nerdy Old Men podcast T-shirt, not his, without the shield and everything, and you're like, hey, this guy seems friendly, but good Lord, I believe he could tear me in two.
Yeah, you're right, and I was always very enamored with that show as a kid, and we've talked about that on the Sci-Fi episode that you and I did together, and but. There was no toys or models or anything at the time really, so I'd make them out of corrugated boxes and cardboard, and I created all of these ships, but they obviously all had a saucer section in the engines and things like that. But a little side note that is if you're ever in Washington D.C. and you go to the Air and Space Museum that's downtown, not the one at Dulles Airport, but the other one, I've been there several times when I went up there for work, and they've got the original model from the original series, from the intro and the one that they used for all of that, in this big glass case. And every few minutes, it lights up. It does all of its light up and plays the song. So every few minutes, you've got all these old guys gathered around it to watch it.
Waiting for it.
All these nerdy old men. Next time, I'll take business cards and hand them out.
Yeah, there you go.
But but it's really
let me ask
cool.
You this, Chad.
Yeah.
What's your favorite version of the Enterprise?
Next Generation.
Which version of the
D,
Next Generation?
The D.
No, yeah, I know, but This is one, and it had a very brief. You may not remember it, but it had a very brief. It was like in the last half of the last episode.
Man.
When Admiral Riker shows up, because they're doing the whole Q's got them jumping through time and different realities, and the refit Enterprise came out.
All right.
The Dreadnought.
The Dreadnought.
The 3 nacelle Dreadnought.
It's got the 3 nacelles. It's got the big photon cannon underneath. I mean,
probably that one, but I'll have to look that one up because
yeah, Google that one really quick.
Yeah.
In Star Trek canon, that 3rd nacelle is for nothing but channel phaser power.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's my favorite.
I love that ship, but it was only they only showed it like
that thing screams death.
Oh, dude,
you got all the other Star Trek stuff that comes up, and it goes, "Hey, how you doing? Let's talk about how we can help you out." And this one comes in and goes, "I'm going to obliterate you."
Yeah,
let me see if I can get their attention.
Yeah.
Well, it's like because they were doing everything, and Dr. Crusher had made captain, and she had the Louis Pasteur was her ship, and it was like a golf ball instead of the saucer section, but it's like a golf ball, and then just take the rest of the original Enterprise and put on it, and it's just going on, and I believe it was the Klingons were like blasting the crap out of them because they were in their space or something, and then they're like, "Oh, there's another ship decloaking," and everybody's like, "Oh God, we're about to die," and he's like, and Data goes, "It's the Enterprise," and you see it decloak, and you're like, "That's not the Enterprise," and like there's huge cannons on the bottom of it, and it just blasts straight through the ship, in like 5 seconds destroys this this Klingon battle cruiser, and Riker comes on. He's like, "What are you doing here?"
I got to give me one of those. Yeah.
By far the coolest ship in
Picard
in
instantly feels bad about himself.
He's like, dang
it.
And I'm pretty sure Jonathan Frakes, wherever he is right now, is sitting in his Riker uniform, just waiting on somebody to call him to be on TV.
Yeah, I really liked him too, man.
He was my favorite.
He was my favorite too.
He was absolutely my favorite.
But you staying in the Star Trek thing, man. Klingon bird of prey.
Oh, love that design.
The thing pops in again. I guess, and I'm sure people will hear me say this over and over and over again. But that image is menacing, and I dig that, man. It pops up, uncloaks, and you're like, "Oh shit, I'm dead. I'm done."
To me, the D7, the original Klingon ship, is the menacing one.
Yeah,
where it's got the head that sticks out and the wings swoop back. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
that was the battle cruiser, wasn't it?
The D7. They gave it a name later. That one to me was the iconic Star Trek villain ship.
Okay,
but that's kind of like first, like the original series.
Well, yeah, that's.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. And you're right.
I liked the fact that the birds of prey they had actually painted like a bird on.
Yeah, that's cool because it's in such contrast to the Federation ships that are very clean, and they have that gray blue naval paint scheme on it. Almost like modern naval ships today. And then you've got this thing that pops in that looks like the entire thing looks like the nose of a B-17. It's all painted up.
I'm never getting that image out of my head.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The next one you see pop up has got a half naked Klingon chick painted on the side of it. It says "Bouncing Betty" or some shit. Yeah.
It says "Block."
Hey, so all you Star Trek designers, throw that in there and put nerdy old men at the bottom.
You talk about interesting designs, though, and Pat kind of alluded to it earlier, but, the Borg cube.
Yeah.
You've got a D6 going through space.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
But you can't stop it.
No, yeah. It's like, damn it. Nothing works. We needed Riker and his big-ass gun.
Yeah.
That's what.
Yeah.
But I got something that so we don't go down a certain rabbit hole. But I got another thing, man. How about the Gunstar? From the Last Starfighter.
The Last Starfighter is dead.
Yes. But think about that, man. Was that not a pretty funny? I mean, I was like big into that for a little while when that came out.
Oh, it was a great movie. Especially when you were a kid.
Yeah.
And it had all the computer generated effects for the first time ever.
Wasn't it like the entire ship, wasn't it like the first time that they had done that? Like it was like completely CG?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, that is. It broke cinematic ground, it said, when I was doing some research on it, and you're absolutely right. Yeah, it did.
I was thinking.
But was that also, if I remember that story right, was that kid not, like, recruited because he played a video game?
Yes.
That's right. Because as a little kid, you're like, I got to find that game. Because I need to because I got to get the hell out of this little town and go fight bad guys across the galaxy.
I must go fight Zurg in the Kodan Armada.
That's right. Yes, because when it does its big spinning around and blowing everything away.
Death Blossom.
Yes, the Death Blossom. That's kind of like if you eat too many blossoms at freaking Outback, it's the Death Blossom the next day.
Yeah. and for a completely contrast to that, the main battle cruiser of the bad guys. Let's take out the one turret, and this ship is rendered useless.
Right.
to the point they were going to ram him.
Yeah.
My favorite line of the movies: "Forget the guns, ramming speed." I'm like, what?
What?
No.
Maybe they had a reinforced bulkhead on the front there. I don't know.
How bad's your battle plan where it comes down to that shit?
Your secondary plan is ramming speed.
Right.
Well, my plan when I don't have any plan is ride till we find them and kill them all. So, it's a good plan. It's a solid plan.
It's a good plan, yes.
But your plan isn't to ram them. Your plan is to kill them. Ramming them kills you.
Not necessarily. It depends on where the location of the bridge is on the ship and stuff. It's like a demolition derby in outer space. Come on.
I like it. A sci-fi movie that I thought was cool and the ships kind of brought in the whole UFO theme of the stuff was Independence Day.
Yes.
And I loved that movie because I like UFO stuff. I mean, I just do. I think it's cool as shit. And they've got to exist. In my opinion, they've got to. And this is a menacing idea, right? That they come full-scale freaking assault with all these different sized saucer-shaped vessels. And, and the humans are trying to fight them back with conventional weapons. And to me, that's just crazy cool.
And Randy Quaid. We fought with Randy Quaid.
And Randy Quaid, yes, obviously. Right.
I love the alternate ending where he's in the crop duster. I'm back!
Well, since you up Independence Day and the saucers,
yeah,
I've got a favorite from back in the day. Is V.
Oh God, yes, V.
I hated that.
You didn't like
very
V?
similar concept.
No, it scared the crap out of me as a kid.
Well, that's the point.
Oh, God, I was terrified of that.
Yeah, that's the point, man.
Like eating mice and stuff and ripping his face. Oh, dude, that was the stuff of nightmares.
Yeah, but I mean, that was like a Twilight Zone episode, right? I mean, like the whole show. Yeah, you're right. Right. Oh, yeah, we come in peace. Everything's great.
Yeah, Space lizard Nazis have come to eat us.
That's the term for the day. Space wizard Nazis.
Space wizard Nazis. I think we might use that in the campaign tonight,
yes, D&D night. But all right, Wes, I'm going to throw you the softball. How about the Serenity?
Oh gosh, I loved Firefly. It was a show before its time. The mid bulk transport class 03-K64-Firefly.
There's no way in hell that come out of your ass. You read that.
I had that wrote down. I could remember the 03K, and I never can remember the 64 for whatever reason. But
Pat, what he's not telling you is he actually has it tattooed on his butt cheek. So you can
it's hard when you're looking in the mirror. You got to read it backwards.
Well, I'm impressed you got it right if you're looking at it in the mirror.
I mean, what was cool about that ship, other than just being cool, it had no weapons. It was a transport ship.
Right.
All these other ships have got guns.
How does that make it cool?
Well, you had to, one, you had to use your wits to survive. Two, it was held together with duct tape and baling twine.
Firepower and guns.
And then back to the other thing, your only combat option is to ram people.
No, they ran. They ran from people. But it was just neat because I liked westerns. I watched westerns with my dad growing up, and it was a western set in outer space, and a lot of people didn't get that. And
But I loved that show, and you turned me on to it, and man, that is an absolute fantastic show.
So Bezo, if you're listening, which we know you are,
let's do this one too.
There's another one that needs to.
I always feel bad turning people onto that show.
Oh yeah, because they're like, "Where's the second season coming out?" And then you just
there's a movie that's sort of good that ties it all together. That would probably be a great movie if it wasn't used to tie it all together.
Yes.
Serenity's.
I agree.
You have to have knowledge of kind of what's going on, because if you jump into it, you're kind of like, well, what's happening, and then it's kind of difficult.
Well, Pat, what do you? Since we fed Wes his favorite, what do you get? What else you got, buddy?
Well, we talked about this mostly limiting it to live action, but I was going to bring it up before we talked about it. That was the SDF one.
Okay.
Giant Robotech battle fortress.
For a while.
Okay, all right. Robotech
transforms into a giant robot. Aircraft carriers for arms. A cannon that literally, according to the role-playing game material, obliterates everything in its path. It doesn't have a damage value. It obliterates everything in its path.
And it accidentally fires from Earth in the first episode. And they don't know why until they find out that the Invader are coming to invade.
That gun is like the entirety of D&D 3.5. It's just broken, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And there's a bunch in cartoons and games as well.
Well, the thing about that was the show was, I will say, was well written for its time. But they put a lot of like technical stuff in it. Like things would, if this moves here, then this has to go here. And unfortunately, if someone's standing there, then splat.
Yep.
But it was like they would have real problems with the ship. Like when they were trying to lift off, the anti-gravity engines were stronger than the mounts, and they literally started ripping through the ship.
And when they folded space for the first time, they took an entire island with them.
Yes. Yeah. And we're out past, like Pluto, and it's like, oh crap, we gotta go home.
Because that's how the aircraft carriers came to be. They weren't originally part of the ship. They got folded out there. It's like, oh God, what do we do with these? We'll make them our arms. We will punch other ships and just expunge giant combat robots.
You send in your well, let's see, we can't call them riflemen and
the rifleman is the Raider X.
Yeah, okay, I was trying to think what the name was, because I know there was, between Harmony Gold and everything else, like there was a lot of naming
Harmony
issues.
Gold and FASA had a huge lawsuit over it.
I think they still do.
You had the Rifleman, the Warhammer, the Marauder.
The Marauder, two of the greatest mechs ever created, but that's for another show.
Oh yeah.
Well, I've got to throw in my, which is probably my favorite science fiction spacecraft, and that is the Imperial Star Destroyer.
Oh yes.
And I will argue with you and punch you in the throat if you disagree. No, but the ISD, man, I'm telling you, I from the moment I saw that, that image of it coming and coming and coming and coming and coming, you know what I mean?
I think you have to clarify that though, because the one that we fell in love with first was the Corellian Corvette, the blockade runner that Leia was on, and we're like, oh my gosh, it's a big spaceship. And then you get the Star Destroyer.
No, I'm talking about the Imperial Star Destroyer itself. I mean,
I know, but what I'm saying is the first one we saw was that Corellian Corvette, and everybody instantly fell in love with it. You're like, cool, spaceship.
Right.
Oh, my Lord, what is this?
No, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, my Lord, it's still going.
Is that one, because that, to me, again, and I've said it 100 times on this show and everywhere else, you know that I'm an Imperial guy. I like the Empire better than the Rebellion, always have. That is that is an image of superiority.
Oh, absolutely.
That thing coming into a sector says, "Get out of the way. We're in charge."
And then in Empire, we've got the Star Destroyer hanging in space. All of a sudden, you see this huge shadow come over. It's like, what is so big that it casts a shadow on a Star Destroyer?
Yeah. Oh, the Super Star Destroyer. Right?
Yeah.
Vader's one. You know, I actually like the standard ISD better than that.
I do too. It's a better design. It's a cooler design.
I mean,
I actually have.
We all know that we would have got force choked and killed by Vader if we had been on his ship. So we're better off staying on the regular Star Destroyer.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I'm telling you that to me that's great. You put the ISD Chimera with Grand Admiral Thrawn on it, and you drop it in a sector, and there's absolute control, in my opinion.
Let me tell you, if you're playing the game Star Trek Armada, and the Chimera is on the board, you kill it immediately. You forget every other ship.
You ram
every other enemy ship. And granted, for its points, it's the bulk of the fleet anyway.
Right.
But you kill that thing immediately, or you are done.
Yeah, I'm a huge Thrawn fan. Like I said, I'm reading through the new books of him anyway. But that makes me like the ISD even better, man. I just think it's a cool.
It was nasty,
Plus, all of the. Not just it and its turbo lasers and all that other kind of crap that it's gone on. It's standard. It's naval weaponry. It's an aircraft carrier.
Right.
Oh,
It dumps hordes of TIE fighters in there, and advanced TIE interceptors, and regular TIE interceptors and TIE bombers. Plus, again, this is a rabbit hole, but the Lambda. Shuttle.
The shuttle.
Yeah.
That's a menacing looking vehicle too to not have any weapons.
If you ever had the toy, that thing was armed to the teeth.
Oh, it did have weapons, didn't it?
Yes,
It had a
because
rear-facing
the wings
cannon,
fold
2 fixed front cannons, and 2 wing rotating cannons.
See, I'd like to have one of those to hang up in my man cave, but they're so expensive.
I missed out on one new in box for about $600 a few months ago.
That's actually probably a pretty good deal.
Oh, it was. It
Probably
was
a pretty good deal. But I mean, since we're into the Star Wars thing,
Go down this rabbit hole.
Go ahead, man. Do it.
Well, I mean, you've got to throw out the Falcon at some point.
Yeah.
The Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
It's the fastest hunk of junk in the galaxy.
The thing about it, though, Wes, that I think is so cool is it's back, and now I see like this pattern. The Serenity wasn't a warship, but it was the good guy ship. Mm-hmm. The Falcon's not a warship. But it's
it was armed.
But it was a good guy ship.
Junk.
Yeah,
which is funny because everything in the Empire. Well,
it's
at least
better.
if you're in the Star Destroyers, everything's new and until you get out to like the Outer Rim or something. But here they are in this literal hunk of junk that Han's crosswired every system through every system, and he's probably the only person that knows how to make this thing run. There's always that joke, where he goes to do something and all the lights on the console goes off and he just BAM! And they all come back on and it starts working,
That's how we learn to fix things.
Yeah, hit it. Going back to
they stole that from Fonzie, though.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah, but there were so many things. What was it?
That's true.
Gosh, what was the Bruce Willis space movie where they're
Fifth Element.
Fifth Element.
No. The one where they're drilling on the rock.
Oh,
on the asteroid.
Armageddon,
yes.
Yeah. Armageddon.
When they'd saved the Russian cosmonaut, and the girl was going through. I think she may have been co-pilot. She's going through the checklist because something's not working. He goes, "Please move, and he moves her. And he goes, "This is how we fix things on Russian spaceship." And he starts like hitting it just like with a hammer or something. It works. That was all that stuff kind of that gag. I think has probably been used in like Pat said, Fonzie did it with the jukebox. But,
yeah.
You think of Han. In the Falcon, just hitting stuff and making it work, or he goes to make the jump to light speed and it's not my fault. It's not my fault.
Yeah, the most emotional I've gotten in a movie in a long time is when Han and Chewie come on the Falcon in Force Awakens, and he's like, "Chewie, we're home.
We're back."
Yeah. And
I watched hundreds of grown men in the theater just burst into tears at that scene.
Yeah, absolutely.
Me included.
Yeah, I was fixing to say.
Pat, what about Star Wars with you? What about another iconic vessel that we haven't talked about that you might think of?
My favorite design all around, and I'm a big ISD fan, but since you said that one, I'm going to go with the Rebel MC-80, the one that the second Death Star destroys the first time it fires.
Yes.
Right, yes.
That's probably my second favorite Star Wars design, and easily my favorite Rebel ship in Armada, the game.
That's a game that you're gonna have to explain to me and show me some stuff on, because I think that looks cool, because I like the ships, man.
I'll holler at you next. I'll holler at you next time we play over at Sci-Fi.
Okay, cool. I love that. But I mean, then you're in Star Wars and you talk about the X-wing, which I honestly never cared for a whole lot. All of those Rebel fighters and bombers, I thought were the X-wing was okay. It had a neat design that was obviously that's a fighter, right? And the A-wing, is like the smart car of spaceships, So it's okay.
The A-wing always reminded me of the Thunder Fighter from Buck Rogers.
Okay, yeah. And so it was a good fighter, but man, the freaking B-wing, what the hell is that thing? And
see, of the Rebel fighters, my favorite, especially as a toy, was the Y-wing.
Now, okay, I'll give you that. The Y-wing is cool. I was just wanting to poke fun at the
B-wing. The B-wing was the worst toy.
But
it was just big and unwieldy.
It's like an egg with an arm and like.
I mean, it's just. I'm like, how did that thing had to have good fighter support, because a TIE interceptor is going to eat.
Well, it was a bomber as well.
You know what I mean? What?
The
B-wing. Yeah, the B-wing was a bomber as well, and the Y-wing was dual purpose.
Well, yeah, but the A and the X were the primary fighters.
Yeah.
But and the big one that we had was the Death Star.
Well, no, that's a space station.
Well,
it's not a moon; it's a space station. But you're right; it couldn't move. So,
yeah.
It is. All right, we'll take B5 off then. So there's that. Okay.
The Death Star is the original Borg cube.
Well,
okay, we got a circle we got a ball in space.
It's a D20.
You're right.
That's more like the horrific D100.
Yes, the D100. That's right, man.
Oh gosh, but kind of bringing up Buck Rogers, though, the Thunder Fighter was a cool design.
Yes, I had a toy of that as a kid.
Did you?
I have no idea where it came from. I had it
and the Hatchet Fighter.
Well, I didn't have that one. I don't know where it came from. I don't know where it went, but I remember playing with it. It's one of those toys where I think I'd like to get another one just to have it for the nostalgia, because I remember playing with it with a kid, but I have no idea when it come out. I assume it was probably something I found at my grandparents' house, but I don't really know.
It had to have been, because I had that toy. See, I'm 6 years?
Yeah, probably
older than you guys.
Yeah, not 10.
I had that toy when I was about 7 or 8, which meant you all would have been about 2-ish.
Yeah.
So that's what you've picked up.
You stole Pat's stuff?
It probably came from a yard sale or something like that. My mom probably bought it or something like that. I would imagine. But I remember playing with it because, again, I liked space stuff as a kid, and I didn't even. I vaguely, as a kid, even remember knowing what Buck Rogers was until I got a little bit older.
Well, so, I think you probably would have known like Twiggy. The little robot.
Beady.
Yeah.
Yes. But you're right.
Mel Blanc did the voice for that. Yeah.
There you go.
But another one that was in that one was Hawk's ship, and it was.
Oh yeah.
It was an actual hawk.
Yeah,
you've talons that would come down.
You've expressed your affection for that character, so
He was just a cool character.
Hawk was awesome.
Yeah,
Hawk was really awesome.
I agree with you.
He was the Mr. Spock of Buck Rogers.
He was very stoic.
Very stoic.
The way
just
he is.
Supremely badass. You didn't want to fight him.
Oh, Lord, no, he'd tear you apart.
And that's one thing I loved about the Star Trek Into Darkness. We're going to get a little off subject here. But we had badass Spock fist fight con.
Yeah, right. You don't get much cooler than that.
But back to the Buck Rogers thing. One of the things about Buck Rogers is you didn't see a lot of capital ships.
No.
Buck Rogers was a very fighter-based show. You had the big Draconian ship, and in the second season, you had the One Earth Explorer ship. And
Right.
that was about it.
True. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I didn't realize that too. I've always liked things that have those big ships that work in conjunction with the smaller ones too, though.
I love capital ships. Period.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. I'd say this is a pretty good episode for you, Pat, with you starting to play that Armada game.
Yeah, it is, and I've only played it the couple of times so far, but it's a really fun game.
Mm-hmm.
Fantasy Flight's done some good Star Wars stuff. I've never played X-Wing, which is the starship or the starfighter level.
Right.
You've got starfighters in Armada, but they're semi-scaled.
Okay.
They're tiny. They can be a real pain.
I bet.
But
you got to paint those?
you actually kind of they're the one thing that's not pre-painted in Armada.
Oh, okay.
Which means mine will never be painted.
Right. Again, the Star Trek thing, when I was looking through my notes, I realized that, we've talked about vessels, ships that the design just doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it's still kind of cool. And one of those that fits that to me is Slave One.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's like a cool, menacing vehicle, right? But it's the weirdest damn design. Why? Why would you even create a vehicle that does that?
What's interesting, I know, like in The Mandalorian, when spoiler alert. 3, 2, 1. You've been warned. When they meet up with Boba Fett, and I'm assuming
Wait,
this
what?
is slave. What? Boba Fett? Where?
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I actually have no pity for anybody that's spoiled because if you've not watched The Mandalorian
at this
now,
point,
you're not a fan.
Yeah, at this point, yeah.
But
anyway, continue.
I'm assuming that's Slave 2 that they're on. But it actually shows on the inside, like when they take off, because it sets on the flat part, and then it goes up because that's the engines are pushing it up, and then it rotates. Well, it actually shows inside.
Yeah.
The whole room rotate.
Which
I think a lot of people didn't realize that it did.
Oh, I saw that. That was a cool thing.
So you're setting upright, and then the ship actually turns around you, and which that's just some cool engineering. But yeah I'm kind of like you. It's like,
yeah,
why?
Yeah, that show also brought in the design of the Razor Crest, which I thought was a neat ship, and it kind of reminds me of Serenity, of the ship in Firefly a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why really, but it kind of has that look.
I think it's the offset.
It very much has that look. It's got the rotating engines,
right? Yeah, it does. It has. But it also has that look because Mando is a good guy in essence, right?
Right.
But it kind of harks back again to all good guys in Star Wars have crappy ships.
It's true.
You're right. I mean, it's a good ship, pretty much, but he keeps having to repair it because it gets the ship beat out of it. But but that's kind of along the same lines with the Millennium Falcon. It's a piece of crap, but they keep having to bang it together, whereas the Empire stuff is all shiny. And I mean, even in The Mandalorian, when the Empire is falling apart, TIE fighters are still shiny and they function and things like that.
Yeah, they're better than.
But I'm like, so how in the hell did they lose? Poor leadership, but that's a different story.
And then it turns out the rebels had poor leadership,
right?
Because in 30 years the Empire's back and they're just kicking the crap out of them.
Yeah. That's what it was. They just took a coffee break and come back.
Chad, you get to about like leadership and stuff, and I don't know if you remember this show. This was another Fox show that, of course, hey, let's do one season and cancel it. But did you ever watch Space Above and Beyond?
Yes.
It's on Amazon.
Yeah, I had totally forgot about it. I liked that show.
I'm actually about to rewatch that one.
I like that show. I forgot about that. I'm gonna have to
because
watch
it was
again.
you're following this group of Marines and and it's very military setup. It's like we're exploring stuff, we're at war, but we're not doing like the Enterprise, the nice like the Saratoga, which was like the flagship. It pulse lasers and particle weapons and torpedoes and missiles, and it launched. It was basically
right.
And I thought the fight. I don't know if you remember that.
I do.
They were really cool fighters.
I'm thinking about it now. Yeah.
Funny story. Funny story that I didn't know this. I was doing a little reading on the interwebs, and apparently they were filming in Australia, I believe, and built a full size hammerhead. That was prop, I guess, for shop or whatever.
Right.
Whatever.
Right.
They were storing them at I guess an Air Force base in Australia, and there were some there was a Russian freighter that was nearby, and there was Russian sailors taking pictures.
Oh, thinking they had some good intel.
They thought it was some new U.S. fighter. They thought they were.
Vladimir's going to give me a promotion because I got this shit.
Yeah, but I just thought that was so cool that they put so much detail into this prop, quote unquote prop. Even though it's a full scale prop. These guys are convinced. Oh man, we're on.
Scared the hell out of them. They were like, "Those Vadonia bitches, those Vadonia."
But that's cool when you have a prop that's that good. That, the Russians are going, "Holy crap! How did they do that?" I did not know, Ivan. Take pictures. Take pictures. But that was one of those shows that didn't get a full run. It leaves on a cliffhanger, and it had some really cool ships.
We didn't touch
the wild cards. That was just a cool name for your squad. The wild cards.
We didn't touch on any of it, but the Alien franchise and all of their vessels that the humans were going on. But I was looking at some pictures of them, and they have weird names. Nostromo, USCSS Nostromo from Alien. But you look at it, and you look at all of those vessels, and they all look like ass. And it's like, you should know if you're going to get on that thing and go to space, something bad's probably going to happen.
We all go.
It's like, I don't know, man. It's like getting into a jacked up Uber, and it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I want to get in that one or not. That seems kind of shady.
What could go wrong? It's a white van.
Where
are there locks on the outside of the doors?
One eye's crazy, the other one's lazy. I don't know what's up with this guy.
But it's neat though how you can have all these different ideals of how you would make a ship fly in space.
Yeah,
like the designs. Honestly, that's one of the cool things about sci-fi is if you can think it, you'll find a way to make it work. It's kind of like comic book logic. I don't know, hit him with some gamma rays, he turns into a giant monster. Okay, it works.
Yeah,
they're mutants. Okay, cool. You can control the weather because you're a mutant. Why? I don't know. He's a mutant.
I don't know. It's
it's like some mutant powers make sense. Wolverine heals. Others, Cyclops shoots laser beams at his eyes. That works with human genetics.
Sure. It'll be all right.
Yeah, go with it, man. It's cool. Color. Make them red. It'd be cool.
Yeah. Well, we've done this a couple different ways, but I guess I should be the glutton for punishment today with the nerdy.
You
old man,
read
right?
my mind. I was gonna surprise you on that.
Go.
Beat me to the punch.
Yes, the nerdy old man rapid fire question session.
Dun dun dun.
All right, I'll be your whipping boy. Let's go.
Okay, if you could use any type of propulsion for your spacecraft, what would it be?
What the hell? Am I supposed to be some kind of scientist and shit? I want guns.
I don't know,
I want guns.
dude.
No.
It's a question. Answer the question. I want the truth.
What they use in Star Trek, that technology, because it doesn't seem to fail very much.
You're going with warp technology.
Warp technology, yes. Warp technology.
Bending space around the ship.
Yes, there we go. There we go, because it doesn't fail as much.
And where's the fun in that?
There
Pat, what do you got?
Your armament, kinetic or energy weapons?
Kinetic. There's nothing quite like sending chunks of something heavy through somebody or something else.
Well, it doesn't even have to be heavy. It just has to be traveling at high speeds.
Yeah, well, heavy crushes armor.
Heavy is good. Heavy is sign of reliability.
That was a really dark answer of me. But anyway, go ahead.
Okay, it was
heavy.
Goodness. It's heavy.
Careful.
He's rolling that D20 he's got.
That's what it was.
Okay, if you could pick a universe other than Star Trek, because I know that's the one that you would pick, what would it be?
That is a good question. You know, since I'm in the dark mood today, I would say I'd say Battlestar. Always keeps you on your toes because you're always running and fighting.
Okay.
Thought it'd be a weird question for you, or a weird answer for you. So there you go.
I don't know. We're gonna make him go with this 78 Battlestar and not the.
No, not that one. Shit. I don't want that crap. I don't look good in those outfits.
You and Starbuck. There you go.
I don't have the hair anymore.
Oh, Lordy.
All right, Pat.
Shellcraft or transporters?
Shuttlecraft.
Going with the whole Dr. McCoy logic.
Yeah, it like I said earlier, that scrambling of my atoms worries me a bit, you know. I think it goes along also with like the same reason that I check my food when I leave the McDonald's drive-thru, because I just don't trust these assholes to do the job right. So what about the guy who's doing the maintenance on the transporter? I'm like,
hey, if you've got Chief O'Brien, you're good, okay? I'm just going to go out and throw that out there, because I'm not a fan of the transporters, because I think a lot of times it's kind of like plot armor. You know, it's like, hey, we're in a really bad situation. This thing's about to blow up. Oh, we beam you out. Okay.
Right.
You know, at least, you know, we got to get to the shuttles, you know.
You got to fight your way in and out.
Yeah, you got to make it kind of dangerous there. I'm going to throw an odd one at you, Chad, because, you know,
you're odd, yes.
Favorite Girl Scout cookies?
What the hell? Are you selling Girl Scout cookies right now?
We're selling Girl Scout cookies, so I'm sitting looking at a box.
The peanut butter ones that just have the peanut butter on the inside. What are those?
Tagalongs?
Or tagalongs, yeah.
Tagalongs. Those are the hard peanut butter ones.
I like them both. One of each.
Okay, I'll put you down.
Go ahead. All right, Pat, bring us home. I'm tired of him.
Kirk, Thrawn, or Adama?
Thrawn. I'm sorry, was
figure
that too fast?
Figure that might be the answer.
Was that a question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, there was no question.
Well, you know, I thought Adama might have that dark horse shot there.
No,
he would be my second. But Thrawn, as a matter of fact, I've got the 6-inch Black Series Thrawn action figure sitting over here, menacing, looking over my shoulder on my.
He's actually playing with it right now.
Yeah,
as we're talking.
I do love Thrawn,
but for some reason he's running around with He-Man's power sword. We ain't figured that out yet.
No, yeah, he's badass. Well, hey, now Thrawn collects stuff. Remember, he collects stuff. Tell you, he's always looking at the art of his enemies to figure out how to destroy them. But no, hey, that's a badass character. Don't get me wrong there. No, that was fun.
I think this was a good show today.
Yeah.
I do too. I think we could really do rabbit hole episodes with Star Wars and Star Trek on this too.
No, I agree, and I think that we're going to do that. And for you guys, people that are listening, throw some comments to us about some different things. But you know, last week we did episode 22. We talked about 80s cartoons, and we kind of did a broad shotgun effect spectrum kind of a look at it. Same thing with this one, but we do plan on doing some episodes in the future that narrow down to one specific part of a genre. So, for instance, we would do an episode entirely about Star Wars spaceships, you know, or do one entirely about the G.I. Joe cartoon series or something like that. So,
but if there's one that we've missed, you know, hit us up in the comments section on Facebook, Instagram, you know,
all that good stuff.
I'm sure that there's tons of stuff that we've missed. May not have talked about some people's favorite ships.
I didn't even get into video games.
Oh
Right,
yeah,
Or for that matter, really anything animated other than the SDF one. Just because I'd prepared for that.
Yes,
because it was.
Well, I mean,
even though West punted B5 though, so.
Yeah, I mean, so there were some cool ships in B5 that we didn't get to, and I just thought the whole thing of the actual space station, like how they tried to make it work in reality, not try
well,
to cool.
in that show, that space station was a character. So I give you that, because sometimes inanimate objects can be characters in these shows.
But
that's little trivia on that one.
Yes,
Babylon 4 had engines and was mobile.
Oh,
and it
that's why they took it as the base for the original Shadow War.
All this fun stuff you're learning on the Nerdy Old Men podcast.
That's right. That's why we like to have Pat on, because he's smarter than both of us.
I'm a font.
Well, that's really not saying a lot.
Font of nerd knowledge. Basically, what
he is the wellspring from which we flow.
Pat has more free time than the rest of us. He reads a lot of useless crap, which is not untrue.
Well,
it's only useless if you don't use it.
Well, and you're
That's
using
true.
it right now on the greatest geek nerd pop culture podcast in history, the Nerdy Old Men podcast. And until next time, we've got Perfect Pat with us and Redneck Wes. Engage.
Yeehaw.